Plan Commission meeting. We're glad you could join us. We have a quorum. Good. That we members of the public may only speak once per called agenda item unless a Plan Commission member requires clarification or wishes to ask you a question. Questions or statements from the audience will only be considered. Only statements from the podium after your stated name and address and within the allowed time constraints will be considered by the commission. After all community members have had an opportunity to speak on the called agenda item, the applicant will be asked if they have a final statement for the Plan Commission, and then the commission may take action on that item. The Common Council has adopted rules of decorum for city boards and commissions, including the adoption of a civility pledge. No person shall personally attack a board or commission member, city official, staff, or any other person. No person shall make irrelevant, unduly repetitive, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks or act in such a manner as to disrupt or disturb the orderly conduct of the meeting. This would include hand clap. Because the presentation will be the same. Item number 1 is the general development plan and specific implementation. Part of the record, please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So the subject site is the city's water filtration plant. It has frontage on Lakeshore Drive, Washington Avenue, Lindy Street, and Merritt Avenue. The applicant is proposing to replace 3 existing clear wells on the site due to their age and condition. The property has served as the location for water supply and treatment facilities since the late 1800s, and it will continue to be used to supply water to the city during the following construction of the clear wells. A Plan Commission workshop was held in October of this year. There was discussion primarily related to street frontage land. Questions regarding grade elevation of the new structures, construction, traffic and work hours, fencing, exterior materials, and changes to landscaping. The project will include construction of at-grade reservoirs within the former Clearwell footprints, construction of a new intermediate and high lift pump station, as well as 5 additional parking stalls. The applicant is requesting a base standard modification for reduced front yard setback along Washington Avenue and reduced street side setback along Lakeshore Drive. The reduced front and street yard setbacks are needed as the applicant will be utilizing the foundations of existing clear wells. And the applicant also notes that increasing the setbacks of the clear well structures would result in the need for taller structures to provide required storage volume. And based on community inputs, the reservoirs should be as short as possible. So staff is supportive of the setback reductions as the existing site footprint is being utilized, and it will provide the most efficient and functional use of the property. The plan includes 6-foot-tall decorative security fencing around the site. A BSM is needed for the proposed fencing, as fencing within the front yard is limited to a maximum height of 4 feet. According to the applicant, the 6-foot security fencing is needed to provide security for the site, so staff is supportive of the BSM for the increased front yard fencing height due to the use of the property, which has a need for perimeter security. Here's the photometric lighting plan. The plan includes existing 25-foot light poles, which exceed the maximum light fixture height of 23 feet for the institutional district. Staff is recommending a BSM to allow the existing 25-foot light poles to remain, as the existing poles and fixtures will provide needed lighting for the site. Lighting levels at the right-of-way are within the maximum level of 1.0 foot candles, with the exception of the area near the entrance gate along Lakeshore Drive. And staff is supportive of a BSM to allow the increased lighting level to 5.6 foot candles along the east property line, as it is needed for the existing light fixtures to illuminate the gate entrance for surveillance camera operation and security intercom call boxes, and also it does not face residences or businesses. Here's the landscape plan. It is meeting building foundation landscaping requirements as well as paved area requirements. For street frontage landscaping, the point requirement is not being met along Washington Avenue, Lakeshore Drive, and Merritt Avenue. The total requirement is being met along Lindy Street, but the medium tree point requirement is not being met along Lindy Street. According to the applicant, site difficulties related to structures and pavements, utilities, security fencing, and open space allocated for future facility expansion limit the ability to meet street frontage landscaping requirements. Staff is supportive of BSMs to allow reduced street frontage landscaping, as the applicant has limited available area to place the required landscaping. Also, the unique configuration with 4 frontages results in difficulties meeting street frontage point requirements. They are exceeding yard landscaping point requirements, and that serves to offset their reduction for street frontages. For building facades, the exterior design is subject to public building review, and that will be addressed under the subsequent item. So overall, the applicant is requesting BSMs related to reduced setbacks, increased front yard fence heights, existing lighting, and reduced street frontage landscaping. And to offset those requests, the applicant has exceeded the total landscaping point requirement by 10% and also provided decorative perimeter fencing for a more attractive appearance than other types of security fencing. So staff is recommending approval of the GDP and SIP with the findings and conditions listed in the staff report. And now on to item number 2, which is the architectural review. So this is the same site and same site plan. So the architectural building plan review is required for the 2 Clearwell reservoir buildings and the pump station building. Exterior finishes for the reservoirs and pump station include quarry stone, patterned concrete, brick, split face CMU, and precast decorative panels. The pump station also includes glass block windows and tube steel roof trusses supporting a metal roof deck. The applicant notes that these materials were selected to match the existing structures and facilities on the site. Decorative precast panels, which are an aesthetic enhancement resulting from the work of the Project Ad Hoc Aesthetic Committee. At the Plan Commission workshop, Plan Commission voiced support for the proposed building designs. And at the neighborhood meeting, attendants were generally supportive of the proposed building designs. Staff believes that the structures will be harmonious with the intended character of the public utility site, and sufficient facade articulation will be provided, and the proposed structures are consistent in style and materials to similar public buildings in the city, and the decorative precast panels also serve to enhance the aesthetics of the buildings. So staff recommends approval of the architectural design.
Thank you for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions to staff? And if you have a technical question, please outline it if it is under agenda item 1 or 2. Any technical questions for staff? Ms. Davy?
Mine is under number 1, and it refers to the recommendations. I believe it's number 12 that I wanted to question. The staff recommends final landscaping and fencing plan shall be reviewed and approved by the Department of Community Development. Does that mean that it will not be coming back to the Plan Commission at all?
Correct. The landscaping plan that is shown with this is the one we're approving right now. That just gives staff the ability to approve minor, very minor changes to the plan.
And is this all within the campus itself of the waterworks? It's not at all.
Correct. This is all within the water restrictions. Parkland area impact or change the approved site plan or landscaping plan, the SIP shall be amended in accordance with municipal code.
So then it would come back if there are major changes due to after construction, with the landscaping, they might run into issues where they have to move things around, or as there's more discussion with that kind of lakeshore reimagination area that will be taking place in the coming future here, that might impact something. So either way, if there's changes like that, they will have to come back through this body and common council.
Okay, I probably misunderstood during the workshop then, because I thought that we had requested that we see something or have something in writing that that was actually going to happen.
It is. At council, gosh, it was probably a couple meetings ago, they did allocate funds. They amended our capital improvement program, CIP document, to allocate funds for the reimagination of the Lakeshore Drive area. And they also hired a consultant to help with that. And I believe actually we have the consultant here today too.
And I haven't seen anything that the park board has seen any of this yet. I did
We're-
go through their.
We're like, haven't even started the process. The first thing is we have to get the water filtration, get those approvals on that specific parcel going first, so we can get that to the DNR and we can get that process going, because that might take a little while too.
And I totally understand that, and I'm really a fan of clean water. I just want to be clear about that. However, my concern is the concern that the ad hoc committee had brought forward before our workshop, that we'd go ahead and approve this, and then there will be no more discussion on any of the suggestions that they had spent a couple of years working on. So what guarantee do we have about that? Faith?
It was actually Counselor Nichols, who's on PC, who can't be here today, who brought that forward and kind of came up with that solution at council. So I do believe that we have language that protects the city, plan commission, and council included in our conditions, that if there are changes, and as part of the conversation with Lakeshore Drive Imagination, we do believe that that will come back. Just with the, we don't know what it is yet. So it's hard to tell you it's going to be this and this is the process it's going to take.
But number 13 is what
That's
is covering that?
Yes.
Okay. I just needed to know where it was.
Any other technical questions for staff from the Plan Commission? Okay. I am going to allow public comment on these 2 agenda items. I am going to ask the applicant or the applicants and/or the applicant's representative to comment on the first 2 agenda items together. But when I allow the public to speak, I will ask for item number 1 and item number 2 separately. So is the applicant and/or their representative here to speak?
Yes, sir. My name is Linda Moore. I'm the project manager from Jacobs Engineering Group for the Clearwells Replacement Project. I want to thank you, Brian, for your very comprehensive report. I don't have additional technical remarks to share with the Plan Commission since we last presented information about this project in October, at the October 15th meeting, other than to let everybody know that we've been coordinating and responding to review comments from the city on the site plan review process and from the DNR. And Julia Schilling she and her team have been working on refining the decorative precast concrete panels that are on the reservoirs and the pump station. And that information is all with the planning department right now.
So I do think we need to clarify that the rendering that was up for the images is not the latest image on that. Brian, I don't know if you have Linda's report that we can pull up the actual corrected image of the sturgeon and rice that are on the side, and the rice motif for the architectural panels, just so we can make sure that the correct one is in front of the Plan Commission for review and approval.
Yeah, the ones I had up were the only ones in the PowerPoint, so this is the one you're referring to right here?
Today's PowerPoint?
That was the previous early version, so we're just trying to figure out what happened with that.
Okay, I may not
So-
have gotten them, but that's the only one I had on the file.
Okay, we'll hopefully take a minute during public comment to make sure we get those sent to you for that. Then if we can get those hopefully figured out and get it up here quickly for that is. If Plan Commission recalls at the workshop, there were several alternatives that were put up there, and it was generally directed to be the one with the varying versions of the sturgeon kind of in size and orientation, along with the wild rice at the end caps, and that is what we are proposing and continuing to move forward with. So apologies that didn't make it in, but we'll see if we can get that pulled up here momentarily for you. And then to also address the comment by Ms. Davy that the agreement that we have signed with Psyche that council approved does include numerous meetings and attending various city various city commissions and Parks Board and various different meetings. So those are all included in that contract that went through council and will be part of the whole Lakeshore Drive imagination. But we are just at its infancy stage with this. This construction project is 2 to 3 years long. We need to get it under construction, and that'll allow us that window to really complete the Lakeshore Drive reimagination and then construct that at the completion of the Clearwell tank and ozone replacement project.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. At this time, I will open and request additional public comment, but on agenda item number 1 only, the general development plan and specific implementation plan, I will call for public comment on the architectural building plan review separately. So if you wish to speak on the general development plan and specific implementation plan, please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records. Is there anyone that wishes to speak on item number 1, the general development plan and specific implementation plan? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. Does the applicant or the representative wish to make a closing statement? Okay, thank you. Commission, the action is upon you on item number 1, the general development plan and specific implementation plan.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion from the Plan Commission? Ms. Prop?
Well, just that I think an excellent job has been done working it to this point, and it's time to move forward.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion? All right, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please, on item number 1.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman? Aye. Ms. Prop?
Aye?
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Okay, for item number 2, we'll open the public comment period. Does the applicant wish to amend their statement?
They're working on
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, we were busy scrambling there. Could you repeat the question?
This is the architectural building plan, and I'm wondering if you wish to amend your statement before we allow the rest of the public to comment.
We are working diligently on getting the file sent to Mr. Williams. I'm hoping maybe the file that I sent has made it through to him already.
Public comment.
Very well, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on item number 2, the architectural building plan review? Any member of the public, please approach the podium, state your name and address for our records, and please remember the 5-minute limit.
Hi, Beth Wyman, excuse me, 1373 Wagoo, and owner of the Waters. I'm finding it interesting that for most building projects, there is a required landscape plan that is needed in order to approve it. And what I'm hearing is it's going to come back, it's going to come back, it's going to come back, and I want to know how you're going to ensure that there is a proper landscaping plan. When I look at the reduced setbacks, we have a big white building, and all of a sudden we're up against brick, a lot of brick. I understand the setbacks, I understand the project, but I'm disappointed in that there isn't something for some green space on Washington Avenue. I'm looking at this view, and you're saying that this isn't the final rendering of the landscaping, but those are bushes. That is not landscaping. Those are bushes that I could go to Stein's and plant. So I'm very concerned that we are going to get a lot of brick, a lot of mortar, a lot of steel, and a lot of glass block, and there isn't going to be anything to soften the blow of what we're going to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on the architectural building plan review? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on the architectural building plan review? Okay, I'm going to close the public comment period on item number 2. I can ask the applicant if they have any further statements.
Thank you, Commission. All right, Mr. Williams, if you could go, I believe, to the 3rd slide in that PowerPoint presentation, would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. So this is the rendering that was meant to be included in the Plan Commission packet, where you can see where we have the varying versions of the sturgeon, with the smaller to the left, the pear and the larger to the right, with the wild rice on the end, the wild rice motif highlighted on the center of the pumping station, and then the bottom diagram is the larger of the clear well, showing how that pattern is set to repeat somewhat over the top of those items. So this is the architectural review that we are asking for approval for this evening.
Okay, thank you very much. Because this information is new, I can reopen the public comment period. So is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this new information? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on this new information? All right, I'm seeing none, so I'm closing the public comment period. Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second on item number 2, the architectural building plan review. Do we have any discussion from the Plan Commission on the motion? Ms. Davy?
I have a question for Mr. Godey. What we've just seen here that was supposed to be in the packet is one of 2 that we had been shown at our workshop. Who made that decision? How was that decision made, I should say?
That was based on the feedback from the Plan Commission, preferring kind of the option that was there, as well as there was not a overwhelming support at the public meeting that we had for either of them, but this one did have more favorable opinion than the other version of the two that we had shown you when we held the public meeting. So that was how we settled on moving forward with this.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other discussion from the Plan Commission on this motion? Ms. Prop?
I like what they've done.
Okay, thank you.
They're putting some lipstick on our pig.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye?
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 3 is a public hearing. It is a conditional use permit request for a temporary use permit extension for the new Clearwell's construction staging at property located on the east side of the 400 block of Lakeshore Drive. City of Oshkosh is the owner and Jacobs Engineering Group is the applicant. Did we have any site inspections from the Plan Commission? Be all the same as before? Thank you, those are so noted. Staff, please present your summary.
Thank you. So this is the site directly across the street to the east of the water filtration site on the east side of Lakeshore Drive. The subject site is about an acre in size. It's a city-owned property with frontage on Lakeshore Drive as well as Lake Winnebago, and it includes public parking and open space area. So the applicant is planning to use Lakeshore Drive and a portion of the abutting city-owned property to the east, which is the subject site, for temporary construction, construction material storage, contractor staging, contractors' field offices, contractor employee parking, and construction work area adjacent to the water filtration plant during the proposed Clearwell replacement project. So use of the staging area for vehicles, equipment, and trailers requires a temporary use permit, which is limited to 90 days per calendar year, but can be extended in duration through the conditional use permit process. So the applicant is requesting a CUP to allow for the temporary use permit to be extended, as the staging area is anticipated to be utilized from spring of 2025 through spring of 2028. So staff is supportive of the TUP extension, as the use of the staging area is needed for the City Clearwell project to be completed. And we are recommending conditions that the TUP expire on June 30th, 2028, and then the area be returned to pre-use conditions, including repair of any damaged lawn areas. So with that, staff recommends approval of the CUP with the findings and conditions in your staff report.
All right, thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, is there any technical questions to the staff? Any technical questions to the staff? Mr. Bowen?
Sorry, I guess I just thought of this. As part of just the overall project, in the staging piece, Steve, how much of Lakeshore Drive, are you removing Lakeshore Drive as part of this, as part of the staging piece, or is that all focused on, that is gonna be part of that down the road? Are you milling this up? Are you removing pavement? Are you, I guess, how much of the staging area is being impacted physically?
For staging, what we're proposing is that there will be a fence put along basically.
Right, I see you've got gated on both ends.
Yes, yep, okay, good, that's in there.
Yeah.
So essentially, we're not planning to just take the surface up during that time, but primarily utilize that surface to put storage on, put the job trailers on, so the contractor has a hard surface to be on, so they're making less of a mess.
Okay.
Certainly, it is going to get very beat up over the course of construction with heavy equipment and other things being on there. There could be portions of it, certainly as we need to excavate through for putting in utilities that get tore up and have to be patched back in. But the intent is really that we are using that as a working surface and trying to maintain to a majority of being the existing paved area. Certainly there will be some of the grass, and we are going to maintain that shoreline open so that people could walk along the shoreline, at least on the grass, if they want, with the exception of when the storm sewer outfall is being installed.
Okay, I think that was my question, is how much on-site impact is gonna wind up, I mean, you can't completely negate any off-site impacts from it, but how much of that on-site impact is gonna negate, or is gonna impact the ability to use the shoreline, the ability for, traffic circulating around there, but.
Certainly during construction, it's going to be closed to
Oh, right.
non-construction, yes.
Right, right. I was thinking more of the shoreline, you know, the area around there, things like that, so.
Certainly, people will be able to get down the sidewalk on the south side of Washington Avenue to the lake shore, though we will be keeping their, the fence will be off the shoreline a bit so that people could walk the grass. It's not gonna be an ADA accessible route or anything by any means, but if people wanna get along the shoreline, they would have that ability to be able to get along the shoreline. We're gonna try to keep some of that, wider triangle area open out there. If we let the contractor go, they're gonna just put stuff wherever we let them put that. Hence, we wanna have the fence up there to keep them confined so they have less impacts to some of that grass and the trees that are in that area so that they don't impact those as well.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I guess I was just making sure that as part of that, and I understand the work surface, wanting to maintain that hard surface so they're not, doing that. So I guess I was envisioning the road being milled up or pavement being milled up or something like that and having it going off-site or something like that. But if that's not happening and you're maintaining that hard surface, then.
The intent is that, and then upon completion, obviously, that will be part of the Lakeshore Drive.
Right, so
to
you're gonna
rebuild
ruin
it.
it and then we can fix it.
Yes.
And that will be great, so.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Is there any other, and thank you for answering on behalf of the Plan Commission. Are there any other technical questions from the Plan Commission for the staff? Okay, I'm seeing none. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing and request a statement from the applicant and/or their representative. Does the applicant or their representative wish to add anything additional on this agenda item?
We do not, the design team does not have additional technical information, but I'd be happy to answer questions about how this area will be used during construction.
Thank you. Okay, since this is a public hearing, I will request for additional public comment. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on agenda item number 3, the conditional use permit for temporary use permit extension? Any member of the public wish to speak on item number 3? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing. We do ask a closing statement from the applicant if they so choose.
No, thank you.
Thank you. And Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Ms. Prop?
Well, just that the obvious beating up of Lakeshore Drive with all this staging equipment and big equipment is just going to lend itself well to re-envisioning Lakeshore Drive in the kind of way that I think Ms. Davy and the neighbors would like to see.
Any other discussion on this motion? I'm going to add that while I'm disappointed that ADA access may be limited, I think that that would probably be minor compared to the overall scope of the project. Any other discussion? I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman? Aye. Ms. Prop?
Aye?
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Okay, thank you. Item number 4 is another public hearing. It's a conditional use permit amendment request for a second floor bar and patio addition at 701 North Main Street. 701 North Main Street Incorporated is the owner and the applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Those are so noted. Thank you. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So the subject site is at the northwest corner of North Main Street and West Irving Avenue. It is the Mabel Murphy's Tavern site. It was rebuilt in 2020 and has an associated patio and parking area to the north side of it. A CUP was approved in 2020 for a 15-foot by 72-foot patio area on the north side of the building, including a 34 by 8 enclosed patio area attached to the building. The applicant is now proposing a second floor addition to the bar that will include a patio area. So the patio area is considered outdoor commercial entertainment, which is a conditional use in the UMU district. So a CUP amendment is required for the second floor patio area. Here's a view of the building. No changes are proposed to the existing footprint of the site, as the only modifications are for a second floor addition. So no additional parking is required, as the property is located within the parking requirement exemption overlay. Also, no additional landscaping is required, as no changes are being made to the footprint of the site. The proposed building addition will be constructed of ephes and glazing. The existing building and addition combined will comply with the commercial building design standard requirement of 50% Class 1 materials per facade. And staff is recommending approval of the CUP with the conditions in your staff report.
Thank you very much. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions? Ms. Shireman?
Is the exemption for the parking because it was grandfathered in because of the fire back in the day?
So in the zoning ordinance, we have exemptions for properties within the central mixed-use district and also other areas where we feel that there's sufficient on-street parking. We have an exemption overlay where those sites do not need to have parking. So further north on Main Street than the CMU district, parts of Oregon Street. So we do have areas that do not require parking based on the surrounding area having on-street parking.
So even if you go up in capacity, I don't know if it's double or third or whatever, the determination is that there is sufficient parking around there, street
Correct,
side
yep.
parking?
Being a
Okay,
commercial use,
that's what that
it's
means.
exempt. Only residential uses require, I believe, 1 stall per unit in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Any other technical questions for the staff from the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none. So this is a public hearing. And I will request a statement from the applicant or the representative. Is the applicant or the representative here today? If you could approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Sean Felker, 2470 Arcadia Avenue. As far as the parking goes, we're not increasing the occupancy at all. We're just basically spreading out the clientele that we already have there. I don't know what else you'd like to know, or?
That's fine. They can ask questions and
Okay.
bring you back later. Okay, thank you. Since it's a public hearing, we'll now open it to the public. Is there any additional public comment on this agenda item? Is there anybody from the public that wishes to speak on item number 4? Anybody from the public that wishes to speak on this item? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing. We don't necessarily need a closing statement from the applicant unless you choose to do so. So Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
I make a motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Mr. Bowen?
This is probably a technical question, but I just thought of it. This will be required to go through site plan review?
Correct.
Okay. So at that point, there'll be police and fire review and
Yep.
all the relevant
Yep.
stuff.
Confirm
like that.
compliance with building codes too.
Yeah, so things that are outside of our purview will be dealt with at that point.
Yep, correct.
Thanks.
Mr. Bello?
I have a question for the owner, if I could do that.
Certainly, if you'd like to approach the podium. Yes.
My question is just regarded to, like your first floor building is all brick, and then you changed it to kind of like a multicolored. Did you have that decision in that, or did?
I did.
Okay.
I
and
did, just
can
trying to make it more noticeable. The brick on the top would not have looked as good. Just trying to separate the two different bars, so when you're going down the street, you can see it, that there's something up there, that it's a patio bar.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion from the Plan Commission? Ms. Davy?
I just want to say I really like the way it looks. I was recently in another city that has a large central plaza, and they had several buildings that looked like this with outdoor bars, so I think it's kind of like moving us forward. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion from the Plan Commission? Okay, I'm seeing none, so we can have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bowen,
Aye.
Ms. Shireman,
Aye.
Ms. Prompt,
Aye?
Mr. Pelto,
Aye.
Ms. Davy,
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer,
Aye.
Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Okay, thank you. Item number 5 is also a public hearing. It's a petition for direct annexation by unanimous approval. It's the Crom annexation from the town of Oshkosh, 4434 Island View Drive. Christine Crom is the owner and applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Okay, that is so noted. Thank you. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Christine Crom is requesting a direct annexation by unanimous approval of approximately 0.368 acres of land located at 4434 Island View Drive in the town of Oshkosh. Up on the screen, I have a land use map showing the subject site. The property is located on the east side of Island View Drive, approximately 400 feet south of Sunnyview Road, and fronts the west shoreline of Lake Winnebago. The property contains a single-family house with attached two-car garage. The petitioner is requesting to annex to enable connection to city water. The existing well serving the house has failed, and the owner has chosen to annex to the city versus constructing a replacement well. Last month, the Common Council approved an annexation agreement which allowed the owner to connect to city water prior to officially annexing to the city to shorten the delay of restoring water to her house. The agreement does stipulate that the owner will follow through with the annexation after connecting to city water, and the house is currently connected to sanitary sewer that is owned by the Island View Sanitary District. The property has a Town of Oshkosh Rural Residential District R1 zoning, and the surrounding area is almost exclusively single-family in nature. The property will be annexed with a temporary and permanent zoning of single-family residential 5, which is consistent with these adjacent city properties and consistent with the city's comprehensive light-density residential land use recommendation. The proposed annexation meets Wisconsin's statutory requirements for unanimous annexations. The property is adjacent to city properties to the north and south, and this will eliminate a town island. The state of Wisconsin Department of Administration's Municipal Boundary Review has reviewed this petition and found the annexation to be in the public interest. The Department of Public Works reviewed the request and reported that the city does have water main available along Island View Drive, and as I recall, I believe the petitioner has obtained plumbing permits to hook up to the water already. The Oshkosh Police and Fire Departments have reviewed this annexation request and do not have any concerns with providing services to this property. So staff is recommending approval of the Crom annexation with the temporary and permanent zonings of single residential 5 as requested.
Thank you very much for your report. Plan Commissioner, are there any technical questions to the staff? Any technical questions for the staff? Okay, I'm seeing none. So this is a public hearing, and I will open the public hearing right now and ask if the applicant is here or their representative, if they would like to come to the podium and make a statement. Is the applicant here? You don't want to make a statement? Okay. Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? All right, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment or the public hearing. And we do not need a closing statement from the applicant, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye?
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Wonderful, thank you. Item number 6 is a residential design standards variance to allow window and door area closures on the front facade at 1120 Olson Avenue. Peggy Schaefer and Connie Strauss are the owners. Paul Wellhouse is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Those are so noted. Thank you. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Chairman. So as the Chairman stated, the applicant is requesting approval of a variance from the city's design standards to allow window and door area closures on the front facade at 1120 Olson Avenue. Up on the screen is a map showing the subject site. And there is a 2013 Google Street View image up on the screen as well. The subject property is a residential lot located at 1120 Olson Avenue and is approximately 0.41 acres in area. According to the city's assessor's website, the property contains a 1,680 square foot ranch style home that was built in 1964. The surrounding homes around that property appear to be very alike in character, all being single-story ranch homes with attached garages, and they are all zoned single-family residential SR3. On September 13th of 2024, the applicant submitted a permit application for an interior remodel to convert an existing breezeway into a new laundry room with a half bath. The permit description also explained the intent to close an existing door and window on the front facade that were part of said breezeway. At this time, the applicant was made aware that a design standard variance would be needed in order to accomplish that window and door closure, and the applicant proceeded to submit a design standard variance application. Within their application, the applicant submitted these two front facade drawings, the top one showing the current facade and the bottom one showing the breezeway window and door being removed with a transom window kind of more towards the roof. So again, as stated, the applicant is requesting to close one window and one door on the front facade, and they plan to install that transom window. So the calculations show that they had approximately 145 square feet of window and door area, and with the transom window, with the removal of the two items and the addition of the transom window, they're going to be at 124 square feet for a total of a 14.5% reduction in window and door area. So during this process, the applicant did provide all the necessary dimensions for the current front facade and the proposed front facade, and that helped us during the design standards process. We evaluated the proposed changes on the front facade and the impact of the design of the home in regards to the purpose and intent of the design standards as they relate to preserving the home's architectural integrity, the potential impact on adjacent properties, and the neighborhood character and the curb appeal of the block. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the variance with the conditions and findings listed in the staff report.
Thank you very much for your report. Plan Commission, do you have any technical questions for the staff? Any technical questions for the staff? Mr.
I have more of a historical question. I mean, do you have any idea, like, how old this regulation that said you can't remove doors and windows from the front of your houses? Is that like an original, I mean, has that been around a really long time?
I believe that was added in 2017 during the zoning code rewrite.
Oh.
Yeah, so the way that it's written is if they would have only been, if there would have been only a 10% variation that is built into the ordinance to allow, without coming to you for this, but because they were at that 14.5, 2013 was when it was added? Okay, my correction, 2013 is when it was added. But yeah, because they were over that 10% variation, that's why it has to come to this board.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other technical questions for staff? Okay, I'm seeing none. I do allow public comment on every item, so I'm going to open a public comment period. And is the applicant or their representative here, and do they wish to speak? I do not see the applicant or the representative here, and so any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm closing the public comment period. We don't need a statement from the applicant, a closing statement from the applicant, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
I'll make a motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we do have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the motion? Mr. Bowen?
Petitioner's not here, so this is gonna be a little bit on deaf ears, but I think for our purposes, I think we can all agree that it's a heck of a lot easier to approve a slight increase over our maximum than it is to have to deny work that's already been done. So, you know, to talking about the process and all this sort of stuff, I know this is a little bit, maybe it feels heavy-handed a lot of times when we have to go through this stuff, but there's a reason that we did it back in 2013, and I am appreciative of these guys who have gone through the process properly and who are not coming back asking for sort of an exemption for work that they already did. So, obviously enthusiastic about this.
Okay, any other comment, any other discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Shimerman?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye?
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Wonderful, thank you. Item number 7 is a subdivision variance request for property located at 1219 Witzel Avenue and a vacant lot on Mason Street. Corey Dixon is the owner, Becky Dixon is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections of this property? Okay, those are so noted, thank you. I will accept the staff report as part of the record, so please present your summary.
Thank you. This is a request for two subdivision regulation variances. The first is to allow the creation of a non-corner lot with two right-of-way frontages, where double frontage lots and reversed frontage lots shall be prohibited. And the second request is to allow the creation of an irregular shaped lot where the size, shape, and orientation of lots shall be appropriate for the location of the subdivision and for the type of development and use contemplated. The site is located at 1219 Witzel Avenue, which is one of two parcels. 1219 Witzel is a 53 by 185.2 foot, approximately 9,800 square feet, lot containing a single-family house with deck and detached single-car garage. And the second lot, which is fronting on Mason Street, is 52.2 feet wide by 53 feet and just over, or about 2,767 square feet in area. And that is located about 133 feet south of Witzel Avenue. The second lot is undeveloped, besides for a paved driveway which leads to the back of the Witzel Avenue property. Both lots are owned by Corey Dixon, the son of the applicant, and according to city records, both lots have been under the same ownership for at least the last 35 years. The purpose of the lot combination is to eliminate the common lot line, which is the short little blue segment, the common lot line between both lots up on the screen. This will make the driveway coming off of Mason Street conforming, as it would no longer be crossing a lot line, and to simplify finances by having one lot instead of two, and the property would start receiving one tax bill versus two. The driveway off of Mason Street was legally established as a building permit was issued for its construction in 1993. The detached garage at 1219 Witzel does have overhead doors on both the north and south sides, making access to the garage possible from Mason Street as well as Witzel Avenue. It could be argued that there is no reason to combine the lots and leave it as is. However, combining the lots will eliminate the city from issuing two separate tax bills every year and eliminate, or the the two lots are essentially functioning as a single property as is. Due to Mason Street's small lot size, it is essentially not developable for a house without several dimensional and bulk standard variances. That possible scenario would do greater harm to the neighborhood by potentially having a new house that would look completely out of place with the rest of the neighborhood. So there really isn't any potential use for that small lot off of Mason Street. Regarding the creation of an irregular shaped lot, the lots have been used as if it were a single irregular shaped lot since at least early 1990s. The desire for similarly shaped uniform lots is for efficiency, consistency, and to reduce lot line conflicts among property owners. However, the Mason Street lot could be one possibility is the Mason Street lot could be offered to the owner of 1223 Witzel, which is at the corner, and recombined into the original platted lot, but all parties would need to be agreeable, to which that could never happen. Staff is of the opinion that the combination of the two lots will not adversely affect the neighborhood. The existing condition has been in place for several decades and nothing will change except for the elimination of the common lot line. And based on this, staff is supportive of the two subdivision variances as requested. And lastly, this is just the draft CSM that's been submitted to the city for review. That would essentially combine the lots into one.
Thank you. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions? Any technical questions for Plan Commission staff? Mr. Lowenstein.
Just a point of information, are there other lots like this in the city, the L-shaped?
Unfortunately, yes, lots of them. Lots of lots.
Any other technical questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. I do allow public comment and on all agenda items, and so is the applicant here, and do they wish to make a statement? The applicant does not wish to make a statement, so is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. We don't need a closing statement from the applicant, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
We do have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on this motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Ms. Prom?
Aye.
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Great, thank you. Item number 8 is determine the necessity to acquire and approve partial land acquisitions at 3277 and 3290 Meadowbrook Road. The Daniel P. Binder Revocable Trust, Thomas C. and Donna M. Recker owners, City of Oshkosh Public Works is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections? Okay, those are so noted for our records. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. The subject area involves two properties located between two road segments of Meadowbrook Road. The purpose of this land acquisition is to connect both sections of Meadowbrook Road to make a through street. The street extension of Meadowbrook Road was first identified on a certified survey map, number 492, which was recorded in 1978, which reserved the south 33 feet of 3290 Meadowbrook for future street purposes. In 2005, the second addition to Pheasant Creek Farm subdivision was recorded, which included a segment of Meadowbrook Road, which was purposely located where the two segments would be able to connect and provide a subdivision and additional access to an arterial street, in this case, West 9th Avenue. The reason for the delay for the city taking this action is both these properties were in the town of Algoma until 2023. And now that the properties are located within a city, as well as the lands further to the west, the city can now plan for extending municipal utilities and upgrade the street to city standards. The proposed land acquisitions will extend the 66-foot right-of-way from the west end of Meadowbrook and connect to the eastern segment of Meadowbrook Road, connecting it to a 66-foot right-of-way on the eastern side. 2277 Meadowbrook will be dedicating a 33.01 by 214.52 foot, 7,081 square foot area, while 2290 Meadowbrook will be dedicating a 241.75 by 33 foot, just under 8,000 square feet area of right-of-way. Once the land acquisitions are complete, the city will be able to dedicate the land as public right-of-way. This will enable the city to extend the city water main, sanitary, and storm sewer to serve former town properties along Meadowbrook Road. The street extension will also provide the subdivision additional access to West 9th Avenue. This review and subsequent approval by the Common Council is the first step for the city to acquire these properties. The city is required to follow the acquisition process as required by state statute. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the proposed land acquisitions as requested. Up on the screen now is on the left side are the two proposed land acquisitions. And on the right side, that is CSM number 497, which showed the reservation of a 33-foot strip back when the CSM was recorded.
Thank you very much. Plan Commissioner, any technical questions? Mr. Keefe.
So in one of those pictures, it looks as if the existing Meadowbrook Road is a little more narrow than the portion that comes in off of Heidi Haven.
Yeah, the section that was built when it was in a town, their standard was 66-foot right-of-ways, and then the portion developed in the city extension would extend the 66-foot right-of-way from the former town properties, and then it'll just bump up against the 60-foot right-of-way that's in the city, or was in the city prior to the annexation.
Any other technical questions? Mr. Lowenstein.
So was this land not in the town of Algoma's right away? They just left the end of the road, or how does that work between, Algoma must have had some right of way to the road, or connection to the road, and but not the owners? I'm a little confused about the right of way issues, because obviously there's right of way on the Algoma side. Is it just that section that doesn't have the right of way stuff to it?
Can we put up the map again, please?
I'm just,
And we can allow Department of Public Works to answer if they wish.
So, okay. Yeah, the portion outlined in blue and to the west of that, or to the left side, that developed while it was still in the town of Algoma, I believe in the early 60s. That's when this was first mapped out by the town and or county. I guess I'm not following your question, or?
well, I guess I'm still confused about the how right of way works. I mean, if it were in the town of Algoma, did they not have right of way to that space before?
No.
And why are we?
The
we're
road.
not just transferring from town to city.
Okay, I
as opposed
understand.
to we're buying it from the owner.
Okay. The map on the left side shows that, or in the verbiage on the CSM said there was a roadway constructed in front of this property, and that was the reason for reserving the right-of-way for future dedication purposes. Since essentially the southern portion of that property was acting as a public street, more or less.
But it technically wasn't a public street.
Correct, it was never dedicated.
Yeah, one thing I'll just kind of add to that is, as we've been going through this process, and the transfer between the town of Algoma and the city of Oshkosh, we do believe that, I don't know if there was a desire or a need to actually dedicate that as right away from the town of Algoma. Yes, there was a road there, it was being used as a public right of way, We do feel as the, city of Oshkosh, there would be certainly rights for us to go down a path to acquire that. We thought this process, going the actual necessity to acquire, was a little cleaner. Again, the details are a little fuzzy on its dedication previously and how it was being used, so this would just basically clean it up and officially dedicate it as city public right of way.
No, thank you. That's why I was confused looking at the way the lines sort of ended
It
on
wa-
that stretch.
It was a little messy back from the town of Algoma, what they were working on, what they had done versus where it is now. And again, we think this is just a cleaner process to dot our Ts or dot our Is, cross our Ts to actually dedicate it as public right of way.
Thank you.
Any other technical questions? Mr. Bowen?
And this is maybe sort of along those same lines, Carl, but I'm looking at CSM 492, which shows the 33-foot reservation, sort of part presently used for road purposes. That's for the parcel on the north side. I'm assuming it's lot 1 of the unrecorded CSM, the new CSM, the red portion there. The blue portion on the bottom, there's no corresponding existing CSM, kind of like 492, which would then, I'm curious if lot 2 on the new CSM, did that have a reservation for that roadway at that point, or because the roadway was, or the right-of-way area used by the town of Algoma was less than the city's road width, did there not need to be a reservation on that? Or is that just another sort of fact lost to time?
Again, I think it not knowing all of the exact procedures that took place back when this area developed and how they proceeded through the actual dedication versus towns use an assumed right of way. So a lot of times you'll see parcels that go up to the center line of the road.
Yeah.
So again, it's a messy situation. I think not knowing exactly what happened back then, we feel this is just the cleanest way to finalize it, dedicate it, make it public right of way officially.
Yeah.
That way we can install the municipal facilities.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to, I mean, clearly this, on 490, CSM 492, that is reserved for right away. Like, that doesn't take anybody to look at and say, yes, that's what that's there for. I just wasn't sure if there was a corresponding second CSM for that lot on the south side showing.
Not that we're aware of
No.
at this time.
Got it, okay.
The lot on the south side, it's unplatted, so there's no instrument that would have shown something like
Okay.
that.
Got it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other,
I should ask that instead.
any other technical questions?
That,
I do have a technical question. Does this allow for a water loop, or is there already a water loop? And if there's not, does it allow for a water loop for better water quality?
So there currently is not a water loop. This dedication of this right-of-way will facilitate us to install water and sanitary sewer to Meadowbrook and Linden Oaks and create a loop with 9th Avenue.
Thank you. Any other technical questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. I will open this to public comment. We did have a statement from one of the applicants. Do any of the other applicants wish to speak?
I
Go
would
ahead.
just like to add one little comment. So the scope of the project is to install sanitary sewer and water main facilities along Meadowbrook Road and Linden Oaks Drive. At this time, I know the staff report does indicate up to city standards. There's no intention to install sidewalks, concrete street at this time. It's a utility project for sewer and water. The ditches will remain, and it'll be an asphalt street when we're all said and done.
Thank you. Does any other members of the petitioners wish to speak, or? Okay, is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any member of the public, approach the podium and state your name and address for the records, please.
My name is Daniel Binder. I live at 327 Meadowbrook Road. Just for the record, I've been opposed to this whole annexing to start with, but obviously I have no choice. As far as the road goes, I went to the Register of Deeds and everything, and my attorney talked about this 20 years ago, There was nothing on record on the road in front of our house, and if it was being reserved for any right-of-way. And originally, we discussed, we would like to leave Meadowbrook Road as a turnaround or a cul-de-sac. Well, when Roosh was putting his developments in, they said they didn't like these turnarounds or cul-de-sacs because the buses and the fire trucks don't like it. But Roosh was allowed to have 9 in his development. The other thing is when he did his development, there was a ditch on the east side of my property that needed to be there. The planning commission at that time, 17 years ago, said, no, we don't need that ditch. Well, the farmer's field behind my house drained everything into that ditch. So now for 17 years, I get 6 inches of water in my yard and in my garage in the backyard. So where he was talking about ditches and that stuff, I was told, and we already got an assessment for running sewer and water in front of our house, and they plan on running storm water from the east side of my property to the west side of the land that they're talking about acquisitioning from us. I understand that. My question to you then is, how come there haven't been any numbers to us on what you're gonna pay us to take the land away from us? Or is there any money that's gonna be, to compensate us?
Thank you. Any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? State your name and address for our records, please.
Thomas Recker on 3290 Meadowbrook. And I guess I'd say along with Dan, I reject the whole process. We moved to Meadowbrook probably about close to a dozen years ago. We were always told that at some point we're going to get annexed into the city of Oshkosh. That's great. Okay, we understood that. So we knew in the future there would be some sort of expense that we were going to have to pay. Also with our property taxes, they were going to increase. We kind of knew that. Then it came that we got annexed this year. I believe it was March 15th or April?
March 1st.
March 1st?
Of 2023.
2023.
No, 24.
23.
We first went into the city March 1st of 2024. That's when we start getting all the letters and everything.
Okay, we can't have the comment from the audience yet, so it's
Okay,
you.
it was this year, the spring of this year. So then I'm just speaking as a homeowner here. So what that means is Oshkosh will be able to collect revenue from our property now, forever, right? That's a good thing. People got to pay taxes. We all have either sanitary pits or holding tanks, and we all have wells. Years, we've been fine with our utilities. So we weren't asked to be annexed. Now, we get annexed this spring, and by late summer, we get an estimate of $60,000, 60, for sewer and water to come in, right? And then that's the street, right? I thought the city was responsible for the street and we were responsible from the lateral to the house. And this is with the wheel tax. And they're gonna put asphalt on top, right? So it's $60,000. Our house, we bought it a dozen years ago for $170,000. $60,000, that's what we pay the city. And then we have to pay an excavation company to run from where the city leaves off into our basement. That's another $7,000 to $10,000. Then we have to pay a plumber because we have a holding tank on the back end of our basement, right? but now we have to figure out how to hook it up. So we need a plumber to hook all of that stuff up. That's another couple of thousand. So when the city tells us, I say it's 60, it's $59,050. But what that really costs us is like $75,000. $75,000. Ever since we got that estimate, I've talked to everybody. And I just asked them, how much do you think it is to have sewer and water, you know, for our house from the city? Oh, I don't know, 14,000, 20,000, 60,000 is what it is. You know, that, I mean, the value of that is, you know, a third of our property. And then, because of the way that the situation is up at 9th Street, it's gonna come and, I guess, loop into Heidi Haven. There's a grade, there's a certain pitch. And we are gonna be, how is that? It's gonna be lower than our, we're gonna have to have a pump also in our house. We're gonna have to pump up our waste and then bring it over to the city main that's gonna run down the middle of our street. So, and we need to give our land away. And so, you know, it's very frustrating. I get it costs money, right? I mean, I guess I had a thought in my head, you know, maybe 15, 20,000, you know, to have the city put it in, but, you know, effectively like in the lower to mid 70s to have this done when we were fine. And I had asked Justin, why is this happening in the first place? And I heard that somebody was concerned about their existing septic, right? That they
Right,
needed
you're gonna
it
have to wrap
fixed.
it up pretty soon, but, yeah.
Okay, so my question is, why does this have to happen in the first place? That's my honest question, and I want somebody to answer that at some point. So, again, with what Dan had said, my question is there going to be money if you're gonna take our land and do all of this? My question is, how does that amount get determined? Right? I think had we not, you know, I think if we just would have signed the papers, the front of our property would have just been taken from the city. So that's what I have to say.
All right, thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public that wishes to speak? Approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Cheryl Spalding, have the property adjoining the Binders. And I just want to express my sentiments that I agree with them entirely. You know, we've lived there for 50 years, and now it's gonna cost us $70,000 to $75,000 to have city services that nobody wants or needs. And I too would like an explanation why, you know, why we have to hook up to city services when we have no need for them and the cost is prohibitive.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Anybody else wish to speak? Okay, I'm seeing none. I'm going to close the public comment period. Does the applicant wish to make a closing statement?
I guess I want to start off, Jeff, can you confirm, I'm pretty sure it was 2023, March of 2023?
Correct, March 1st, 2023 was
Okay.
when it became official.
And just so we're talking about, everybody's on the same page, this is part of a boundary agreement that the city of Oshkosh and the town of Algoma agreed to in 2003. So there is specific zones identified, and then there's certain dates for attachment, and this was agreed upon with the town of Algoma and with the city of Oshkosh. So Zone C, which the subject sites that we're talking about today, they're in Zone C, and that was March 1st of 2023. So I understand could have been communications this year, but that was for specifically, I think, the work that was being proposed in front of the homes, so not so much related to the attachment coming into the city.
Thank you.
So then just to expound on some of the questions that we had, as this area was a part of that Zone C, March 1st, 2023 attachment, prior to that date, the city was contacted by at least one, if not two residents out on Linden Oaks who had failing septic concerns. So prior to even the annexation, this wasn't even on the city's radar to get municipal facilities out to. Once we were notified of potential issues, we started programming it into the CIP to get facilities installed. Again, this wasn't on our radar to get facilities out to until we got the complaints or knowing that there were issues with our residential facilities out on site. As far as the compensation, I certainly can't speak to any of that right now. This is starting the process for the determination of necessity to acquire. Once that's done, more information will be passed out and a land acquisition consultant will be obtained by the city to coordinate that between the city and the property owners.
Thank you.
Can I have a point for Justin?
We do have one comment. Go ahead.
Justin, can you talk to the question on requirement to connect?
Sure. So municipal code does require that within 1 year of municipal facilities being available in front of a property, they are required to have their sanitary sewer system or sanitary lateral hooked up. But the water service needs to be run into the basement, but they can still use their private well. So within 1 year, sanitary sewer has to be hooked up per municipal code. Well service, private wells can still be maintained provided they're still being tested and approved by, I think, DNR. The city, DNR.
Plumbing, yep.
And as far as, I know there's questions on the cost of this construction, all of this is gonna be solely based on the city's assessment policy. Wheel tax was brought up. The wheel tax that was enacted by council earlier this year is specific to streets, sidewalks, driveways, so surface treatments, not any lateral or utility work. So the policy still stands for any utility installation of a new type.
Thank you. Okay, we have our closing statement from the applicant. Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Ms. Prop?
I'd like Justin to answer a question again. I believe that there will be negotiations between the city and the property owners as to the value if this city is purchasing. Is that correct or not?
Correct, yeah. Once this process is through council, an acquisition consultant will be obtained by the city to mediate or negotiate between the city and the property owner.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Sherman?
I missed something. So Kelly, the information that you were sharing back in 2003, so is this a nice to have, or is this like, we're required to do this?
We're required to do
Okay,
this.
that's what I thought. That was the piece I'm missing. So if we're required to do this, I mean, I know that nobody maybe don't like it, or, you know, it's a cost, but I mean, if we're required to do it, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
So one thing I'll just say to that is we're required to have the annexation take place as a part of that agreement. The city is not under any obligation to install municipal facilities to parcels. And again, as I said early on, you know, it was not even planned to be done. You know, knowing it was coming to the city, it wasn't even on my radar or the city's radar to actually get facilities installed until we were made known that there was potential issues of private facilities.
Is there any other comment? Ms. Davy?
Stay there. Is there any opportunity for landowners at any point to opt out?
Municipal code would not allow that right now.
This is reminding me very much of Clairville Road for some reason.
Oh, yeah.
It's a similar situation.
I understand the contract between Town of Algoma and the city. In fact, Brandon had taken me to a map at one point and showed me all the different areas. This isn't the last acquisition, right? The last annexation?
Attachment?
Attachment, thank you, that other
No,
A
no,
word.
that's okay, that's okay.
The last one will be on March 1st, 2043. And that's pretty much all lands in the town west of Clairville.
Okay, so the next one won't happen for 20 years.
Correct.
Anybody who currently owns property in that area, will they hear anything about that until it happens? Does the city take any part of that?
We started mailings in October of '22 to tell the people in Zone C, or owners in Zone C, that this was coming up.
So the people who are currently affected in Zone C have known for a year before the attachment took place. Is that correct?
Yes, in October of,
Yeah, not quite a year, but before the attachment took place. And
So people who own property in, I'm guessing the next one's gonna be D, I don't know. They won't hear anything about it until maybe,
2042.
42.
Yeah.
I mean, these properties are flagged by Winnebago County to refer zoning questions to the city. And I myself, whenever somebody has zoning-related questions, I mention that, hey, these properties are in our Zone D, per our agreement with the town of Algoma, and it will be forced to attach in 2043 unless, they always have the option of annexing prior to that. But I always make, well, you know, I can't speak for the other planners in our office, but
so they could opt to attach earlier, not unlike Chris did tonight, to get the water. If
correct.
they chose to. But if they choose to, does it go to just their property or the entire, it would only be the person who would petition for that, right?
Has to be unanimous with this agreement. So you
Asking about utilities, if we have somebody, like the person from town of Oshkosh tonight, it's kind of, there's patches of people in, and some people are out of the city and in the town of Oshkosh up there. There are utilities up there, but if somebody that did not have utilities in their right of way in front of the home, they would have to pay if they truly wanted city utilities to make those connections.
So I'll just as an example, on Linden Oaks, there's, I'm not 100% sure, I think there's 2 or 3 properties along the west side of Linden Oaks that has been in the city longer than that Zone C, March 1st of 2023. I want to say back in 2009-10 timeframe, sewer and water were extended down Linden Oaks the first several hundred feet to get service to those properties because they came in early because they had well and or septic failures. So it's hard when there's it's an easy extension if it's a methodical, one at a time or several at a time to come in and get utilities extended. If it's one kind of mid-block, getting municipal facilities there can be tougher, but it's certainly not out of the question if we had to get it done.
Okay, and then my other concern is, I mean, I doubt I'm still gonna be on this commission in 2043, I'm just saying. But it seems to me that somebody, I don't know if it's the city or the town, somebody has an obligation to tell anybody who's building in that area about this. And did I understand you, Jeff, to say that if you were touching that, you would inform them? But how do we know that everybody is?
well, to
Developers,
obtain
for
a,
example.
yeah, in the Zone D area, the property owners within Zone D are required to get a zoning permit from the city. Because any developments within the Zone D, you know, A through D, are required to meet city standards.
When?
Immediately.
Now?
Yes, even if, for example, if somebody wants to build a house or a shed in the Zone D area, that's required to follow city standards. So when it comes into the city, it's already compliant with the city standards.
So for their building, they have to, but they don't have to for utilities.
We don't have utilities out there to serve them.
And they don't have to purchase them. I mean, don't have to, okay. Okay.
It's generally how the conversation starts, because
Yeah, March 1st of 2013. Zone B was March 1st of 2018. Zone C, March 1st of 2023. And then obviously we said,
So it went 5, 5, 5, and 20?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on the motion? Mr. Kiefer?
Generally, I'm, a big proponent of parcels that are on these islands or these areas and these, agreements that we've had with the town of Algoma. And, I am concerned though with the cost, and I guess I'm trying to think of this in terms of a new development. If a new road is going in, does someone, either the developer or they paying to have those city services, the sewer and so forth, and the sanitary and the water put into those roads in that subdivision?
Yeah, so I think a prime example is any of the new subdivisions. In this general vicinity, north of 9th Avenue, there's Pickett Estates. They've done 2 separate phases out there. In that instance, the city is into that infrastructure. All the developer wishes to carry that through, pay for it himself, cross it on to the property owners. They're installing that. There's no additional cost to the city for that installation. I'm gonna guess they're gonna pass that on to the property owners as part of the sale of the property. So throughout the city, whether it was back in the late 1800s as this city developed till now, everyone has paid for their first time, whether it's a part of their lot, when they bought it from the developer or bought it whenever, to the city installing it as the city expanded, based on the policy, they would have paid for their first time installation of that facility. And a lot of that is governed by, specifically on the water side, Public Service Commission. Public Service Commission does not allow the general ratepayer to pay for the extension of municipal facilities, and we just mirror that language on the sanitary side.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion on this motion? Mr. Lowenstein?
So, just for clarification, we are not saying anything about the extension of utilities or sewer. All we're doing is saying we are approving a dedicated right-of-way between the two, or dedicated, whatever this thing is, connecting this piece of land would then be acquired by the city. And I think this political discussion, the cost discussion is not really in our purview. That's all I'm saying. We're just giving permission to acquire rights to this property. We're not telling the city that they have to do this, or the landowners that they have to do it, except that we want to bring this parcel under city right-of-way.
Correct, this is the first step in
We're
the
really
process.
not discussing utilities as part of our purview today.
We're actually advising approval.
And we're only advising approval.
We're only
to the
advising
city
approval.
council. Thank you for that clarification as well.
Any other discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Mr. Belleville?
Aye.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Mr. Lowenstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
No.
Motion carried 7-1.
Thank you. The last item on our agenda is adjournment.
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We can have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Please stay for a workshop.